profile. Tell me who I'm speaking to.
What's going on here?
Some people go into the forest for peace. Others come back with stories they can't explain. These 6 real camping encounters are disturbing, raw, and captured on film. Let's get into the first one. And be warned, it only gets more unsettling from here. The first video tonight comes from Sort of Interesting, a UK-based solo adventure channel known for quiet observational exploration. The content focuses on endurance challenges, wild camping, and testing personal limits, often capturing discomfort and tension without exaggeration or dramatic framing. It is January 9th, 2026, in a snow-covered woodland in the United Kingdom.
Welcome to my first ever sub-0 degree camping trip, and also my first real cold temperature test of my new winter sleeping bag. Because of that, I didn't want to drift too far away from civilization, so I've come down to a secret little area that I've camped out at before, and as I was on my way there, I wanted to do a few exciting wintry snowy shots for you so that you could see the lovely scenery lit up in the darkness. And then it started to snow a little bit more heavily, and I thought, if I don't get my camp set up, I'm potentially going to get absolutely covered in snow, soaking wet, and then be cursing myself from a very damp bivvie bag. So I came out to this little hidden spot and just checked the ground conditions, and then thought, right, let's get stuck in here. So I have fetched my trekking poles, and I've got a small tarp and pegs and all sorts here as well. So I could build a small shelter if it was a little bit windy and I wanted to take that wind chill off. Or if I was expecting extreme heavy snowfall, but I'm not really. And the trouble I've got here is the tree cover is so spindly that once daylight hits, or if somebody comes past in the small hours with a torch, they're going to see a tarp and that unnatural tall square shape standing out a mile away in here. So without creating a tarp shelter, we are going to have a really low profile camp setup. So we've got a basic poncho tarp hybrid that I'm using as a ground sheet and an Elpkit Elan hooped bivvie. I'm so glad I bought that as my first bivvie bag last year. It's just so handy and so convenient. Like I say, super low profile, but that hooped section just makes it feel that little bit more open and substantial than my really basic bivvie bag. So I'm going to use 2 relatively low-end sleeping mattresses to try and get a bit of distance between me and the very cold ground, which was certainly not ideal, and you'll see more on that in just a moment.
The camper begins his first ever sub-zero bivvy camp, aiming to test a new winter sleeping bag in real conditions. To manage risk, he chooses a woodland spot close to civilization that he has camped in before. However, snowfall quickly intensifies, forcing him to abandon plans for scenic filming and focus solely on setting up camp before becoming wet and cold. With limited tree cover and a high risk of being seen, he decides against using a tarp. Instead, he sets up an extremely low-profile bivvy directly on the ground. Snow continues to fall steadily, visibility drops, and the temperature continues to fall as daylight fades.
This was the moment the first drama of the night happened.
Somebody over there, there's somebody over there. What is going on here?
There has been somebody walking around out there. Unfortunately, I've waited and waited, and you can see the snow started to collect and actually gather on the bivvy and tarp now. And I can't do this in total darkness, so might as well just put the light on and go for it. I don't know if anyone's out there or not. If I've been spotted, I've been spotted. I'll keep my ear out. Obviously, I'm going to hear a lot of noise if somebody approaches the camp tonight.
While laying out his sleeping mats, the camper suddenly freezes. He hears what sounds like movement in the woods nearby. Unsure whether it is an animal or a person, he stops moving entirely and listens in silence. Snow continues to accumulate on his bivvy and gear as he waits, unable to safely continue setting up.
Drama happened when I knew that I'd seen a light.
I've got absolute footprints leading right towards me. I mean, it's continued snowing, but there, yeah. There. You saw that absolute clear. Oh, I hope that's on the camera. Oh, I'm so annoyed. Oh. Every now and then they just catch directly towards me.
Luckily, the lights didn't get that close to me.
Once the snowfall eases, he notices something unsettling. Clear footprints in the snow, leading directly toward his camp. At the same time, distant lights appear intermittently, pointing in his direction, before moving away again. Realizing that his own tracks are highly visible, he switches to dimmer lighting and remains completely still for extended periods, growing progressively colder as he waits for the lights to disappear.
What's that? It's not very far away, and that I do not like. Foxes. Foxes. Oh, I hope that's foxes. Listen. That has given me goosebumps even more than the...
In the early hours of the morning, while lying awake in his bivvie, he is startled by loud, sudden screams close by. The noise is intense enough to cause immediate alarm. After listening carefully, he identifies the sounds as foxes, but the encounter visibly unsettles him and makes it difficult to relax. No direct confrontation occurs during the night, but the experience is defined by uncertainty rather than comfort. Unexplained movement, footprints leading toward the camp, distant lights, and sudden animal screams combine with extreme cold and isolation to keep the camper on edge throughout the night. By morning, he reflects that staying close to civilization was the correct decision for his first Sub-Zero test. As daylight returns, he packs away frozen gear and leaves the woodland, taking with him a clear reminder of how quickly a quiet winter camp can become unsettling, not because of what is seen, but because of what cannot be confirmed. Imagine this: no phone signal, no one around, just the forest, and something moving in the distance. Would you stay the night or sprint back to your car without looking back? The next horrifying video comes from Rob Outdoor, a UK-based solo camping and van life channel focused on realistic overnight stays in remote or unconventional locations. The channel documents unscripted experiences, often highlighting how quickly discomfort and risk can emerge during stealth camps. It is July 13th, 2024, in a rural woodland car park in the United Kingdom.
I'm taking the camera off the screen, off the windscreen, because there's a few cars down here already, and it's only 6 o'clock. Don't get me wrong, there could be dog walkers, but again, as per last time, we've already seen single male occupancies in the vehicles. At least 2 vehicles with single male occupants. Jesus Christ. I'll show you at some point later on how bad the road is on the way in here. The actual, the drive. And you can't tell me people want to drive down this car park just to walk their dogs. We're in the back now, into stealth mode. We're right up against this sort of, oh god, here we go. I'm going to say right up against this here, so no one can park next to me. That's the drive you come in, and this was only a small car park. So that car there, single male occupant. Car next to it, guy just walking his dog, and the car next to that, single male occupant. And then there's a couple of empty cars here, which I assume are dog walkers. So again, What are people doing here? What do people...
As evening approaches, Rob drives down a rough, uneven track into a small woodland car park. Almost immediately, he notices something unusual. Several vehicles are already parked, many with single male occupants sitting inside. The number of cars and the way they are spaced feels out of place for a quiet rural location at this time of day. After parking up, he switches to stealth mode and reflects on how unlikely it seems that so many people would be there simply for dog walking or evening walks. Despite the uneasy feeling, he decides to stay and begins preparing dinner inside the van, hoping the atmosphere will settle as night draws in.
Box right in front of my van. This place is weird. Bloke in a van. Bloke in a van's just pulled up. Bloke in the van's just pulled up. He was parked there. He just drove off. He was parked there. He walked down there, and I was at the back there cleaning my stuff. In fact, I can still see a man there. See him? So that bloke walked down there and then walked behind my van where I was cleaning my stuff. Look at that bloke there, look. Trying to look in the back of my van.
While tidying up at the rear of the van, Rob notices a man walking closely behind him. The man attempts to look inside through the back doors, lingering just long enough to make the interaction uncomfortable. He then moves away without saying anything, leaving Rob unsettled by how openly he tried to peer inside the vehicle.
Oh yeah.
I thought you lived in this for a minute.
No, well, a little bit of both, like, you know. Yeah. Right? Yeah, just well, yeah, just doing a bit of dinner, like, you know what I mean? So, yeah. How about yourself, you alright?
Yeah. Just been having a day of them.
Yeah. Much about?
Not today, actually.
No.
Saw a couple, but always see some down to us rarity.
Yeah. No, it's nice to do, isn't it? I'd say it's nice to get away, isn't it?
Not long after, another man approaches and strikes up an awkward conversation. His explanation for being there feels vague and unconvincing. Although the exchange remains polite, the lack of clarity and the timing add to Rob's discomfort. Once the man leaves, the sense of being watched does not go away.
You can't tell me that's not weird. An Astra estate. Something tells me he'll be back. Something tells me he'll be back later on. But yeah, he was just hovering down here. He was hovering down here. This is where the other guy come. Now when I was trying to show you, when I was in the back of the van, he was hovering here trying to look inside my van. And he stopped. And I'm not sure exactly what the camera picked up. I'm not sure what you could hear or not. But he said he'd just been deer hunting. Alright mate, that's what you call it. Well, he's driving off anyway, so. But open to about there. So you can't exactly go through there. Two blokes come through, walking through here. They were hovering here, stood in this little area, trying to peer into the van. That van's back. He was down here earlier on. Then he went and parked up there.
As darkness falls, activity around the car park increases rather than fades. Vehicles continue arriving and repositioning. One van appears to leave and return multiple times, while others sit idling with lights on. People are seen lingering in the same areas repeatedly, making it difficult for Rob to feel unnoticed or relaxed inside the van.
I told you I was going to sleep. Since then, 2 cars have been round, papping their horns. The motorhome that was here, he's bottled it and he's gone. Right, so full disclosure, it's now, so is it? It's now 11:30, and I'm not in the same car park. I've moved on. Just getting into bed, just like as I said, you know, I was going to go to bed. A couple of cars turned up. One held its horn on in the main car park for ages, and then he pulled next to the other camper van that was there, held its horn on for ages, and then pulled up next to me, held its horn on for ages. Then it went to move out of the car park, and then as it went to move out of the car park, another car pulled in. So at that point I thought, I'm getting out of here.
Just as Rob prepares to sleep, the situation escalates. Several vehicles deliberately sound their horns nearby, holding them down for extended periods. One pulls alongside the van and continues honking while laughter is heard from inside. At this point, the behavior no longer feels incidental. It feels targeted. Late at night, Rob decides to leave the car park entirely and drive to another location to sleep. The following morning, he reflects that while nothing overtly dangerous happened, the constant attention, repeated vehicle movements, and deliberate noise created an environment that felt increasingly unsafe. He explains that staying would likely have meant no rest and escalating discomfort. Trusting his instincts, he concludes that leaving was the right decision. A reminder that in stealth camping, the absence of direct confrontation does not mean the absence of risk. The next chilling video comes from UK Carry Outdoors, a UK-based solo wild camping and outdoor adventure channel focused on woodland exploration, gear testing, and documenting the real challenges of sleeping outdoors. It is May 19th, 2022, in the North Yorkshire Moors, United Kingdom.
I'm calling it a night now. I've just climbed to my tent and got into a sleeping bag. It's really nice and cosy in here, so I think I'm in for a good night's sleep. It's about 11:30 now, so yeah, it's getting quite late. And obviously we're having a lot lighter mornings now, which means we have to be up fairly early to get packed down before it gets too light. So yeah, we're gonna call it a night. So I'll check in with you guys in the morning. Morning guys. That was probably the worst night's sleep I've ever had while I've been out camping. I'm not really sure why. It was one of those where once you become aware of things, when you're out, I think it just gets in your head and then you just can't sleep. So once I lied down on my airbed, I realised that I'd pitched on the slightest of inclines, and I mean ever so slight. I wouldn't have noticed when I put the tent down. I didn't notice when I was chilling in the tent before.
As evening settles in, the camper prepares for the night inside her newly pitched Nature Hike Vic 1 tent. She arranges her airbed and sleeping bag, commenting positively on the tent's interior space and overall layout. The woodland around her is calm, with only a light wind moving through the trees. Minor inconveniences, such as midges, are present but manageable. At this point, the campsite feels well chosen and peaceful. What goes unnoticed, however, is that the tent sits on a very slight incline, a detail that will soon become impossible to ignore once she lies down.
Sleep. But as soon as I lied down, I realised that I felt like I needed to keep rolling. And the airbed was on a slight angle. And once that got into my head, that was it. I just couldn't think of anything else. And I just couldn't sleep. And then it got really, really windy. At 4 o'clock this morning, like the wind really picked up, and the trees have been really noisy, so I became really aware of that. And yeah, it was just one of those, I think, when you're out, if you become aware of the slightest of thing, like the change in temperature, or you're a little bit cold, or anything, a noise, once you become aware of something, when you're out camping, I feel like it's heightened 1,000,000%, and it just stops you from having a good sleep. So yeah, I've not slept at all. It's currently 5:20, so...
As soon as she settles onto the airbed, the slope begins to affect her balance. She starts to feel as though she is slowly sliding downhill inside the tent. The airbed shifts beneath her, and any sense of comfort is quickly replaced by frustration.
And I think within the next hour I'll be packed down and heading home. The sun's just starting to come up, so it's just starting to get light. But yeah, it's a shame because I'm really warm, but I've just not slept. Also, another thing I've noticed is the inside of my tent. I don't know if I can show you, and I don't know if you can see, but you can't really make that out. But yeah, the lining, the inside of my tent is absolutely soaking. Drying out last night. I've had no rain or anything, but the condensation inside the tent has just been really bad, so that is a negative to this tent because there is no reason why it should be like that. So
By the early hours of the morning, around 5 a.m., conditions worsen. The wind strengthens, causing the surrounding trees to creak and sway. In the stillness of the moors, every sound feels amplified. The movement and noise keep her alert, making sustained sleep impossible and adding to the unease of the night.
now, guys, I'm packed down, but the more I've looked as I've woke up and looked around the tent more, the roof of it is absolutely dripping with water all down the sides. It's absolutely soaking, which I don't understand why, because I've had my vents open and I actually slept with the door open halfway. So I just had this, obviously, mesh door completely shut, but the actual door to the tent was half open because I wanted to be able to let some light in from the torch, and it was not a cold night, so there was so much ventilation getting in. I hate to think what it'd have been like if I had my vents shut and I was fully zipped in. So yeah, not impressed at all. Everything just feels really damp. So yeah, it's not a great experience, and it, probably would put me off bringing this tent out again, to be honest. I've never had this problem before, unless I'd been all zipped up and my vents shut, me and the dog in the tent, a lot of hot air getting breathed around. Then I've had this problem and I've known the solution to it, but I can't think what else I could do by having both the vents open and the door open all night to stop the condensation like this. So yeah, not really impressed, to be honest. My airbed is all wet around the bottom of it where it's been touching the sides of the tent, and yeah.
At first light, another issue becomes clear. Heavy condensation has built up inside the tent overnight. Moisture coats the inner walls and ceiling, dripping down onto the airbed and gear. Despite ventilation being open and the door partially unzipped, the condensation is extensive, raising concerns about airflow and the tent's performance in damp conditions. Although the night is largely sleepless and uncomfortable, the camper reflects positively on the experience. She acknowledges that issues like ground choice, wind exposure, and condensation are part of real solo camping. Lessons learned rather than failures. After packing up early, she leaves the moors tired, but content. The trip reinforces the reality that even calm, familiar woodland camps can present unexpected challenges, and that adapting to those conditions is an essential part of outdoor experience. Some threats are obvious. Others drift silently through the dark, unnoticed until it's far too late. It's those shadowy, unseen forces that haunt us long after the sun comes up. The next shocking video of the night comes from Moxley's Paranormal World, a UK-based paranormal exploration channel focused on solo investigations at locations tied to tragic history and reported unexplained activity. It is October 3rd, 2024, in Pia Pit Forest, United Kingdom. The site of a mining disaster where 344 men and boys lost their lives.
And I'm heading back to Pretoria Pit. Right, let's go.
I'm looking over the mine shaft where 344 men and boys lost their lives.
It likes to help people.
Moxley begins the exploration early in the morning, moving through dense woodland surrounding Pia Pit. Recent rainfall has left the ground muddy and unstable, forcing him to watch every step. He notes potential hazards, listens for wildlife, and remains aware of other people in the forest as he carries multiple devices for documentation and communication. Despite the daylight, the forest feels unusually tense. Almost immediately, Moxley comments on a strong sense of presence, as though the area is not as empty as it appears.
I feel like somebody's here watching me. If you are, can you step forward, come and speak to me?
Malevolence.
As he approaches the pit area, Moxley reports an intensified feeling of being watched. He hears unsettling noises nearby that do not have an obvious source. The atmosphere shifts quickly, prompting him to remain cautious as he continues deeper into the woods.
Walking through this forest, and I heard a group of people shouting. And then I heard one of them shouting, "Get him." So I've moved into the forest thinking, oh shit, they know I'm here. Are they on about me? And then I heard a bit of a scuffle, then some shouting, and then you could literally hear somebody getting punched. And you could
Further into the forest, Moxley hears raised voices and the sounds of a physical confrontation somewhere nearby. Prioritizing safety, he deliberately avoids the disturbance, choosing to keep distance rather than investigate, aware that not all threats in remote locations are paranormal.
Out here, there's been multiple reports of sightings. Would you like to come forward, come and speak to me? I was here a few months back. I actually stayed in this exact spot overnight.
Three lights.
3 lights. What do you mean by 3 lights? Were you one of the workers here? One of the people that in the shaft? Yeah, can you come forward? Come and tell me your name. Tell me who you are. I'd like to speak to you.
Malevolence.
Malevolence. There has been a lot of reports of...
Using the SP Talker, Moxley attempts communication related to the site's history. The device produces responses such as 3 lights and malevolence. While the meanings are unclear, Moxley links the timing of the responses to local folklore and the lingering tragedy associated with the mining disaster.
I thought I walked through a cobweb. Then it happened again. Then it happened again. It keeps feeling like I'm walking through a cobweb, but there's nothing on my face.
It likes to hurt people.
What likes to hurt people? The devil's chair? That's been reports. That's what it does. You sit on this chair. There's loads of stories. And when I looked it up on the internet, there's stories all over the world of a devil's chair and so and so. So it could just be.
While searching for a location known locally as the Devil's Chair, Moxley experiences unusual physical sensations, including the feeling of walking through unseen cobwebs. He also hears distant laughter with no visible source, reinforcing the impression that something unseen may be nearby.
Can you tell me where we are? Don't go near. Don't go near what? Come forward, tell me who I'm speaking to. Why are you out here? Beware. That's what that sounds like. Beware. What? There's been reports of eyes seen within the tree lines. Hundreds of eyes. There's been...
During a necrophonic session, the word beware comes through clearly. Moxley references long-standing reports tied to the forest, including sightings of eyes in the tree line and other disturbing accounts shared by previous visitors. He continues documenting calmly, maintaining distance from other people and remaining aware of his surroundings. The investigation concludes with Moxley standing near Pia Pit itself, reflecting on the scale of the tragedy that claimed 344 lives. He attempts further communication, hoping for acknowledgement or a response connected to the site's history. While no definitive answers are found, the morning investigation captures repeated moments of unease, persistent sensations of being watched, unexplained sounds, and device responses that align closely with the forest's reputation. Moxley leaves the area convinced that Pia Pit Forest retains an unsettling atmosphere, one that feels present, even in daylight, and notes several locations he plans to return to for future investigations. The woods are full of sounds, but it's footsteps that don't belong that truly rattle us. It's not creatures we fear most. It's the sudden, silent presence of another person, just watching. The next video comes from Camp Life Bushcraft, a UK-based outdoor channel focused on bushcraft, wild camping, and realistic woodland experiences. The channel is known for practical decision-making and documenting situations where abandoning a camp is sometimes the safest option. It is August 20th, 2022, in a woodland area near the Creators Village, United Kingdom.
That's good.
Yeah.
Orgasm in a bun.
Hmm?
Orgasm in a bun.
Yeah. Do like steak and pesto.
Oh, my steak's falling out.
Right, I'm shutting the camera off now. We're going to eat and spend some time without you lot. Right? Okay, so we've had supper and we've been chatting, and we decided we're going to bail on this one. The tent that's over in that direction that we saw earlier, it's kind of freaked us out a little bit. It wasn't a wild camper tent. It looked to me like a cheap old Halfords tent, and we were sort of saying it's probably someone maybe homeless or, you know, hiding out in the woods, as it were. And yeah, it's not.
After discovering another tent already set up at their original location, the pair relocate to a new spot beneath a large oak tree. They begin setting up a mesh hot tent using a ridgeline and an improvised stone button, along with a hammock and chair arrangement. Drinks are poured, snacks are laid out, and the atmosphere initially feels relaxed. Dinner is cooked and eaten as conversation turns to camping gear, including a discussion about a stain-resistant Fiobok t-shirt. Laughter and casual chat keep the mood light, and for a while, the camp feels settled and comfortable. As the evening progresses, their attention repeatedly returns to the tent they saw earlier. Although it's only a short distance away, it looks worn and poorly equipped compared to typical wild camping setups. Small woodland noises, rustling leaves and snapping twigs begin to stand out more sharply. The realization that someone unknown may be nearby slowly replaces the earlier sense of calm.
It's not been a comfortable evening. Keep hearing noises in that direction, footsteps and things. So yeah, I was just chatting. I said to Carly, it's not quite dark, so if we want to head out, now's the time. So we've decided that's what we're going to do. What are your thoughts, my darling?
Yeah, I think we should. I don't feel... Last time it was really chilled. And there was a really good vibe. Whether, I think you're right, that seeing that tent has just...
It's in your head.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd like... There's noise over there, and...
I've been sitting here quietly, and, you know, you keep looking in that direction. Yeah. I'm sure it's just a squirrel chucking stuff about in the trees.
Or a deer. I mean, logically, it's an animal.
Yeah.
It's just because we know that there's someone else there, and it wasn't your typical wild camp.
No. I saw the tent. I thought, well, I'll go and say hello, you know. I got a bit closer and...
While sitting quietly, they notice that the other tent is still occupied. Its cheap and weathered appearance raises concerns, and faint footsteps and movement are heard from that direction. The woodland, which had felt peaceful moments earlier, now feels unpredictable.
I don't think we'll settle tonight. I think it's better to call it.
Yeah, chef.
Now.
It's always, you know, if you're not feeling it, not feeling it. I've been out loads recently because I've been off work, so I'm not overly fussed. You're right.
Yeah. It's definitely a squirrel or something.
Yeah. But, you know, if Carly's on edge, it's putting me a bit on edge. So before it gets ridiculously dark, I think we're going to pack up and head home, have a cup of tea, and sleep in our own bed, which I'm quite happy to do. So we're going to switch it off now and bail.
Van!
The sounds continue, branches cracking and leaves shifting as if someone is walking nearby. The pair openly acknowledge their discomfort, unsure whether what they're hearing is wildlife or another person moving through the trees. The uncertainty makes it increasingly difficult to relax, and the evening begins to feel unsafe.
We're out of the forest, and we are on the kind of main footpath through the fields that takes us back to where the village we live. And yeah, travelling through the woods at night is a lot.
With darkness closing in and tension building, they decide it's best to pack up and leave. The presence of an unknown person nearby outweighs the desire to stay the night, and they conclude that remaining in the woods would be unwise.
I generally go out in the dark first thing in the morning.
Yeah, my mornings are different. I always feel safe in the mornings.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Evenings are when the axe murderers are about. It's
Weird,
just,
isn't
it's
it?
just the way we're wired.
Isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, not having the dogs.
They carefully make their way back toward the village along a main footpath. Walking through the woodland at night, knowing someone else is still in the area, heightens their sense of vulnerability. Every sound reinforces that leaving was the correct decision. The camp ends early, not because of weather, equipment failure, or poor planning, but because of uncertainty surrounding another person in the woods. What began as a relaxed evening of food, drinks, and conversation quickly became tense and unsettling. The decision to leave is framed as a sensible one, prioritizing safety and peace of mind over completing the planned overnight stay. The experience highlights how quickly even familiar woodland can feel threatening when there's an unseen human presence nearby. Sometimes, listening to instinct and walking away is the smartest choice, even in woods you think you know well. Before the next clip, if you're enjoying the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. We're trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and right now, 80% of viewers aren't subscribed. So if you're one of them, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It really means a lot. Your support helps us continue creating awesome, creepy videos. Now, let's get back to the video. The last video of the night comes from Adam in the Wild, a UK-based YouTube channel where Adam documents honest, unscripted outdoor experiences. His content often focuses on stealth camping, solo overnight stays, and camping in socially or logistically challenging locations, blending humor with real tension rather than staged thrills. It is July 20th, 2023, in England, United Kingdom, in a woodland just off the A64, near the Red Bus Cafe lay-by.
I don't know what's going on here. It's that dark. I've ended up in I'm literally more than waist height in bushes. Oh, I'm falling over it a lot. This isn't the spot I found before, but I think there's a flat spot in there. There is clear paths, but I just can't see them in dark, man. Yeah, there's flat spots here. Oh, that'll do. Oh. Right, the road's just through there.
After parking at the Red Bus Cafe lay-by, Adam enters the woods in near total darkness. He struggles to follow faint paths, pushing through nettles and dense undergrowth. The ground is uneven, visibility is poor, and there are clear signs of frequent foot traffic, making the area feel more active and less isolated than expected.
At first I thought it was an owl. Now I think it's either foxes shagging or humans, and she's having a great time.
While pitching his tent, Adam hears nearby noises he cannot immediately explain. He pauses to listen, unsure whether the sounds are coming from animals or people. Given the location's reputation and proximity to the road, the uncertainty immediately raises his tension.
Got to turn the flash off because we've got some doggers. We've got some doggers. Look, 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 look. Fuck you. Oh my God, we've got some doggers. There's a car here. Right, let's go see if we can find them in action. Oh my God. Right, I'll put torch back on. Right, there's a car here. There's a car here. There's only one reason why there's a car here. And that's because they're up to something.
Later in the night, Adam leaves the tent to check his surroundings and notices a car parked at the lay-by. He comments that there is realistically only one reason for a vehicle to arrive at this time. Knowing others are now using the same area, he becomes more cautious as he moves through the woods.
This is me, man. That's quite a scary thought. This is mental. We're celebrating finding some doggers. The stealth camp worry inside me is saying how they're in the same woods as me. They are in the same woods as me, but I just can't find them. Might be a bit awkward if I find.
He searches briefly but is unable to locate anyone. The realization that other people are nearby, unseen, unsettles him. He acknowledges that an unexpected encounter could be awkward or unsafe, and returns toward his campsite.
I would describe as something or someone knocking around my tent. Been on this channel for 3 years, you know how honest I am. I'm not just going to say to you, oh, it was definitely a person, because it could have been a fox or a badger or a whatever. I saw a dead skunk on the road, I think. But then I don't know if it was just in my head, but I heard like someone was talking. Could have been that cat.
At around 2 a.m., Adam wakes to the sound of movement close to his tent. He describes it as something knocking or shifting nearby. He cannot confirm whether it was an animal, a person, or something else entirely. He also believes he may have heard voices, though he is not certain. Sleep remains poor for the rest of the night. By early morning, Adam packs up quickly and leaves straight for work. He admits the night was uncomfortable and mentally draining, particularly knowing other people were present in the woods while he slept. Although the stealth camp was technically successful, the combination of poor visibility, nearby strangers, unexplained nighttime noises, and lack of rest leaves him questioning whether stealth camping in locations like this is something he wants to continue pursuing. Thanks for watching. If those 6 encounters rattled you, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe for more creepy content every week. The next mystery might be even darker than this one.